Hello everyone, welcome back to the Western Centurion Channel, and thank you for joining me on part 2 of my video on why I have such a passion for model railways. As I said in part 1, I'd like to take you down my own memory lane to visually show you why the railways mean so much to me. I hadn't realised previously the extent of it, but since I'm doing some researching, looking back at my own history, I've now come to realise how much I spent with the railway and how much it's actually been in the family over the past. So yeah, sit back, relax and enjoy as I take you through some of my own memories. Okay, so here on Google Maps in satellite view, in the centre we have Wootton Bassett, or as it's known now as Royal Wootton Bassett, and then where I live now, up here in the Stratton area of Swindon to the right, and down here in the left we have Chippenham, which is where I currently work and where I've also previously lived before I moved to Swindon. So back to Wootton Bassett, I'll zoom in and I'd like to take you pretty much to where it all began. Come down a bit, here we are. It's in this house here on Marlborough Road, which is where I was born in '64. It was in my grandparents' house on my mother's side. My father was in West Africa at the time. He was a French teacher in a place called Zaria in Nigeria. When I was about 2 months old, my mum took me out there and I lived there pretty much for the first 8 years of my life. Came back obviously every now and then throughout the years, but that's where I grew up in my very early days. But as you can see, it really was not far from the main railway line, which was the Paddington to Bristol line. Wootton Bassett Junction, or later known as the station, was based here. There was a platform either side of the tracks for east and westbound trains. There was a footbridge that went from platform to platform. That's now been replaced by an all-steel structure right next to the road bridge, because there's absolutely no room to walk across there. That'll be pretty dangerous to do. Actually, oh, that's great. Actually, on here you can see a pub. It's called the Beaufort Arms. That's where I used to go and drink in my late teens, early 20s. You say local watering hole. But yeah, my grandparents, my grampy, Percy, his name was Percy Short. I believe he was a cabinet maker, or he was very skilled with his hands and with wood. He worked for GWR in the Swindon works, in the building coaches. I wish I'd spoken to him a lot more, but I was a lot younger then, and it's just something I didn't do, something I regret. But I do remember that every Saturday, this is after I came back from Africa and living in Wootton Bassett, we'd go down every Saturday to my grandparents for lunch. And my gran, just unbelievable, made the best food ever. But then again, I do believe that everyone's gran makes the best food, understandably. And because my gran was a cabinet maker and worked with wood, he had a garage, and in that garage was all the tools you would need. And what, just perfect. Remember the old planes that were wooden blocks with blades in? The wall, he had so many different planes up on there, so many different saws, chisels, some tools to this day. I remember in my mind what they looked like, but I've got no idea what they were used for. But he taught me woodwork, and when I was at school, I suppose I got CSEs in those days, but the only O level I got was in woodwork, and that was down to my gramp and his teaching. He had such a passion for that, and understandably, he was a big bloke. He had hands like a gorilla. I always remember that. But he was just so mild, and he used to always wear grey trousers and red braces to hold them up, and in the summer he'd wear a white shirt under the braces with his sleeves rolled up, and he had the most immaculate front garden. The lawn was to die for, really. It was like a bowling green lawn, and he always took such care in what he did, and I hope a lot of that's passed on to me, because I do just so admire what he did and the way he went about things. I just wish I'd actually spoken to him and got down some history from him, but I didn't, and it's too late now. But one of the things I can show you is, if I go to here, so one of the things I can show you is this. It's like a really, really big plaque in the museum in Swindon, in their steam museum. What they've got are nameplates of people who used to work for GWR in Swindon. The whole wall is covered in them, and you can pay a little sum of money and have someone's name put up who used to work for them, which I found out is what my dad did a few years ago. And here's my Gramps' name, Percy J. Short. It's lovely to see. But in addition to that, what else my dad did was have his father's name put up. Bernard L. Carter, MBE, which he was awarded in 1940 from King George VI for his time in India during the First World War. He was originally worked in the stores at Swindon Works, but then, as a lot of men did in the First World War, they left and went off to fight, whereas a lot went to Europe. My gramp went to India, and on his return he was awarded the MBE. But also, besides my two grandfathers, we have my stepmother, Reginald Blanchard. Sorry, my stepmother's father, Reginald Blanchard, and her uncle, William Blanchard, who's obviously her father's brother. They were both engine drivers for GWR. I've been speaking to her, and she's pretty certain that they both were drivers of King class locomotives. Both worked their way up from cleaning the locos at the very start to being firemen, and eventually, especially with her father, after 20 years being a fireman, he then became an engine driver. He didn't like diesel locomotives when they first started coming out, but he had no choice but to adapt and go to them. He then had an illness, apparently, which meant he could no longer drive passenger locomotives, and he was, in a sense, demoted down to driving shunters, and that included not only just like pannier tanks, but also diesels when they were first coming out. It's a bit sad, really, for him, but at least he got to drive some of the best steam locomotives created in his time. Lovely to hear. So yeah, here's 4 people from, well, 2 from my immediate family and 2 from my extended family who worked for GWR and were based at the Swindon Works. So yeah, so from living here and having the railway lines and the railway tracks here, this is where I worked for 10 years of my life. It was St Ivor at the time. It's no longer there, it's all been knocked down. This is obviously an oldish map, because this is all a housing estate now, brand new housing estate, as is with the Beaufort Arms pub, That's gone. That got burnt down a couple of years ago. But here is a brewery. This is called the Beaufort Arms Brewery. It's obviously no longer operating. It hasn't been as long as I can remember, but it's still standing. Right, if I come out a bit and we come into here, when I came back from Africa in the very early 70s, 71, 72, this is where I lived. This is where my parents bought the house. But a bit of history behind here is that before any of these houses were built, my parents were courting. My dad was from Swindon, obviously, and my mother was from Wootton Bassett. They used to come and sit on this hill under an oak tree, and that is exactly where the house is built. And when they heard that there's development of houses around here, they came and bought the plot of land and had the house built. Lovely story. So yeah, my childhood was really lucky because I had all these fields, so I'd jump over the fence, come down these fields to this bridge here. This is where I spent all my holidays, all the summer and winter was spent here. Had the what's this? Wilson Burke's Canal, apparently this is. I didn't know that at the time it was called. I just remember it was a muddy place. It's been cleaned up a bit since. It's really nice now, but at the time this was all overgrown down here on the right. But on the left there was some water in here, and in the winter it wasn't deep, so it froze over quite quickly. We could skate on there, little bits. But yes, this is where I spent my childhood, was on this bridge. Let's have a look. I think there should be, here we are, here it is. If I click on here, that's the view. This is towards Swindon, so this is heading east. And we've got the woods on the right, all open fields on the left. Obviously in the days I used to go down there wasn't graffiti on there, but a sign of change, isn't it, really, I suppose. But we did our own graffiti by carving our names in the stonework along the top. There's thousands of names carved in there from all eras. But that was a mark of history from us, I suppose, really. And if I zoom back out again a bit more, move around. So yeah, so I was born down here. I lived here, and I worked here at St Ivel. Used to drink in the pub here, the Beaufort Arms. And my very first house I bought was here. As you can see, the back garden back right onto the railway lines. And yeah, I still have memories of living in there, and about 3 in the morning, having a freight train going by, very long freight train, and everything in the house used to rattle. So I soon learnt not to leave glasses in cupboards. I'd take glasses out, they'd always be put somewhere where they were packed together, because at night time, after in the morning, the last thing you want to do is hear these glasses rattling around. It used to make a hell of a noise. But it's still great memories. Lovely little house. Then we had a aggregate yard here. Trying to see where the track comes in. I can't quite. You see, it comes in here. Now I thought it used to come back onto the line here, or maybe they've changed it. But I believe use it a lot, or I've seen some in there a few years ago. But when I lived here, it used to be Yeoman, was the company that was hauling the aggregate in and out. And I'm pretty certain they had I thought they were American locos. No idea what type of American, but they were foreign to me. Ones I'd never seen before. So again, yeah, we had Wootton Bassett station here, and it was about here where the goods shed was, and it was on there. The shed was still there, there's a platform was still there, and I used to sit there and watch the trains go by. The station had gone. On either side there's no more station, but there was still a platform on the west side of the track. I've got some pictures of those actually. Let's have a look. Let's bring this. Oh, by the way, these are photographs from a website called locodriver.co.uk. Lovely site and worth a visit. There's some fabulous photographs. Now this is actually of Bridgewater Castle, or Bridgewater Castle class loco, on its way from Bristol to Paddington. I think this is taken in 1952. Now I showed you these photographs in a previous video update for the layout. If I go to the next one, here we go. See, Wootton Bassett Junction. There's the platform either side. The Beaufort Arms is just round here somewhere. But this is the Red Dragon. You just see it on the headboard here. Obviously coming from South Wales, heading towards London. This is King Class, George II. Now on the website he says it looks like the valve gears, the seals have worn, hence why you see a lot of steam coming out. So it was obviously not long before this loco was going to be decommissioned. And what else have we got? Here we go. We have the what's this? A 262 GWR. Just shunting some freight around the sidings at Wootton Bassett. Now that's the goods shed and the platform that I used to sit on. The crane was no longer there, because this would have been in the early 70s that I was hanging around this area. And lastly, there we are, a nice colour picture. Again, I've shown you this before, and there's the goods shed and the platform, and there's Wootton Bassett Station or Wootton Bassett Junction and the footbridge that went from platform to platform. I believe this is a 280, and this is taken in 1955, pulling coal. They used to drop coal wagons off here to be collected and to be taken on to London, and Didcot Power Station. Right, if I come back out again. So that's a brief history of me and Wootton Bassett anyway. If I take you to Chippenham, well, by the way, that's RAF Lynham. That's where they used to fly the bodies in from Afghanistan, and then take the journey all down this road here through Royal Wootton Bassett. Sad days they were. But then we get into Chippenham. We scroll in. Here we are, Chippenham Station, and I used to live just here. There's a little ground floor flat. Beautiful place, and the window in just the right place so I could see the arches or the railway bridge. And I've got a photograph of that here for you. Here we are. That's what it used to look like, pretty much from my flat window. Built by Brunel, out of Bath stone. This picture really still doesn't really do it much credit, because it's a stunning bit of architecture. And great to see it still standing. So I'll come out. Oh, that's where I worked there, by the way. Keep coming out. Then we'll come into Swindon, where I live at the moment. Obviously I can't show you exactly where I live, but where are we? Here we are. We have the railway, Swindon Station, the way it is now. And I'll take you to another website which is called Britain from Above. Fabulous. I recommend going to have a look at it. Where are we? Let's have a look. Here. Oh, by the way, this is the, I forgot to show you this here, this is the dairy, which was United Dairies at the time, and where I worked was St Ivor, but it was so much bigger than this St Ivor. Just want to show you, because they've got the 6-wheel tankers here. I believe they're 6-wheel tankers. And the way they used to go down, and actually what looks like underneath the dairy. But this is pretty much, if we look at Swindon, the way it is now, okay, got all these houses around here. No, sorry, that's the station. I got that wrong, didn't I? Yeah, there we are, Swindon Station. Here is what was called the Outlet Village now. This building here is the Steam Museum. If I just pull out a little bit more, so there we've got the station, and all of this used to be the railway works. And then if I go to here, this is it in 1938. So if I zoom in a bit, where are we? Here's the station. Just here. That was the station in 1938. And all of this here were the works. Look, it is massive. Look, all this rolling stock here. So much. And obviously this was just before the war. There are aerial photographs of some of these houses along here where there's gaps in them now, where they were bombed. But so yes, if that's the station, then this up here, this here is where the Steam Museum and Outlet Village is now. Lot different. If I had wanted to try and model it on Swindon Station and Swindon Works, I'd need a lot of space, I think, don't you? But it's a shame, that would be fun to do as a project at some time or other. Who knows? I might do it. Might do it on my 60th birthday. So yeah, so back to the map, and that pretty much sums it up for me. I hope it's given you an insight on why I've got a passion for the model railway, and why it's pretty much in my blood, and how I spent a lot of my time with the railways. So there'll be a part 3. I've got an idea what it's going to be. It's going to have something to do with eBay. It will also have something to do with alcohol, and the best bit is it will have my very first running session. So keep with us, look forward to update 3, and I'll try and get that done in the next couple of days before Christmas anyway. Alright, so again, thank you very much for joining me. Hope you've enjoyed it, and a very Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll be seeing each other soon. Okay, thank you, bye.